Hello and welcome to the Fade Route NFL podcast for week 7 of the 2025 season. We're going to talk about Thursday night football last night, the London game. We have another one of those, the 1 p.m. games, the 4 p.m. window, crouton, sink or swim. We might talk about scratch and sniff and we might not. I'm going to give out a random fact, but before I do anything else, I'm going to welcome in the mayor. Mayor, how are you?
I am pretty good for a Friday afternoon. Uh, Thursday night football, I didn't get to watch much of it. I had to work way too early this morning. 14 hours of football this Sunday. Unfortunately, I'm working for 9 of them. All but fortunate for me, the 49ers play on Sunday night, so I will be prime time front and center for that game. Looking forward to it. Um, I'm going to throw us off a tangent already. Here we go. Tennessee, New Orleans, and the New York Jets are plus 100,000 right now on hardrockbet.com. So you could become a millionaire by betting $10 on all three of these teams, and all one of them has to do is win the Super Bowl. Now, you very well could be pissing $30 down the drain, but we've all gone to the bar before and spent $30 and ended up pissing that down the drain. So what say you?
First of all, how dare you? I've never wasted money on something like that. No, I think that's incredible.
I mean, it's almost worth throwing $30 away just in case. Now, the New York Jets could end up going 12-5, and that would be the best landing and finishing since 2009 when Tom Hanks landed a plane in the Hudson River.
All right, that's a fun fact too.
Yeah.
But what about New Orleans? Just what is that? What is the odds for just New Orleans?
Plus 100,000.
Oh, they're each
Yeah,
100,000. I mean,
Tennessee, New Orleans, and the New York Jets all have the worst odds right now in the league.
okay, I thought you meant
Theoretically,
like
I think Tennessee has the easiest window to the playoffs out of those three teams.
no. I mean, I would think New Orleans. Like, I know that they would need to get either. They would probably need the wild card, but I don't know. Like New Orleans seems like a much better team. Tennessee's terrible.
But the AFC North right now is no one's setting the world on fire up there other than the Patriots, and they're only sitting at 4-2. So I don't know. If someone wants to chance at $1 million for $10, bet on one of those teams.
Yeah, it's worth a shot. I agree. All right. I do have a random fact, and this is our first content warning. It's kind of macabre. Um, we're having the London game here in Wembley Stadium this week, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I looked up some facts about Wembley Stadium, and this one that we see currently is that was actually made in 2007, but it was built on the same spot of the original Wembley Stadium, which was like 1932 or something like that, a long time ago. The point is, though, uh, James White, not the Patriots running back, but James White was the original owner of the Wembley Stadium. Oh, I'm sorry, it was 1923. Let me get my facts straight. Um, but he got in over his head financially and actually ended up killing himself.
Wow, that's interesting.
And they say they say his spirit roams the halls of Wembley to this very day.
Is that just the old stadium or the new stadium?
Well, the new stadium was built on the old stadium spot.
Okay.
Same. So they destroyed the old stadium. I was just kidding. I just added that last part because they always say that kind of stuff.
Oh,
I've
well,
never actually.
that is a pretty interesting fact. I didn't know there were two Wembley stadiums. Um, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, they knocked it down like 2007 and built the new one. All right, let's get into the London game. It is at 9:30 Eastern Time, Wembley Stadium. The Rams are at the Jaguars. The Jaguars are home dogs, which doesn't, I don't think, really mean anything in this case, except they get one less actual home game. And they have played in London quite a bit. So maybe it is a little bit of an advantage. But anyway, they're home dogs. What I saw the number at is +3, and the over under is 45.
Yeah, that's a pretty good spread on those games. I think the Rams, to your point, they're starting to prove they're still going to be top contenders in the NFC. The Jaguars seem to have a little bit of a slowdown in the past week, but that defense is still pretty solid. 3 points, I don't know. That's a tough line. I don't know if I would bet that one. Um, but I remember watching a few London games with the Jags, and normally you see a smorgasbord of NFL jerseys, but typically the Jaguars. There seems to be a lot of fans in London of the Jaguars, so it'll be interesting to see if fans show out this Sunday morning. I won't be there, so you'll have to let me know.
I will do just that, but I'm gonna say you're pretty lucky. This is a bad slate of 1 p.m. games. I don't know if I'm gonna be excited about any of these games, but let's just start with Miami at Cleveland. Cleveland was favored by 2.5 last I saw. The over under was 39.5. So a fun looking game right there. These teams aren't going anywhere. Do you have any thoughts on Miami and Cleveland?
They've got better chances right now to win the Super Bowl than the other mentioned teams from earlier. Uh, this is going to be an interesting game. It could be 65 to 64 at the final score. It could be 3-0. Maybe we'll get a weird origami with some weird stuff that happens in this one. I'm going to have to go with the wife on this side and take Miami playing in Cleveland. Cleveland continues to be the dumpster fire of themselves. Miami still has a lot of playmakers on their team. Their coach just can't seem to put together a winning football team. At this point, I don't think they're going to get rid of him before the bye. Maybe after during the bye week, but if not, that doesn't make. At this point, there's no reason to move on because you already know you're not making the playoffs. You're already that far in the hole, so just ride the season out. But Miami wins this one.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about it last week. It makes actually a lot of sense. Just ride it out this season and see who might be an available coach, and then Mike McDaniel go somewhere where he's a really good offensive coordinator.
You think he goes
Uh,
back to San Francisco? I mean, they brought Salah back. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, he kind of came from San Francisco. And I mean, when they had McDaniel and Salah on their team, that is when they were making their two Super Bowl run losses in 3 seasons. And this season in between, they had 20 of 22 injured players from the Super Bowl in the previous season on IR that season.
right.
So, in theory, they could have had a pretty good run, but they didn't win.
Well, yeah, getting the band back together is always a good idea. So maybe they'll do that after this season. But I think if I had to bet, I think um, the Dolphins are just going to stick with McDaniel until the off season, like you were talking about. New England at Tennessee. Tennessee, another home dog, +7. We were just talking about Tennessee and how terrible they are. The over under is 42. Um, a chance to win last week, actually, but another fail. Um, I don't know what you want to call it. Uh, the fail Cam, the fail Ward. He fumbled the ball, and that was not a win for Tennessee. But New England looks pretty good. I don't know if I should have scratched them so early, but I don't. I don't know. What do you think about New England at Tennessee?
Yeah, I Tennessee is 1-5, and what their one loss was to Arizona's complete mishandling of a football game. Was it?
Yeah,
Wasn't that their only win?
Their only win, yes.
Yeah, so really, this team's 0-6. But you are what your record says you are, and that's 1-5. And New England is 4-2. They seem to be doing everything right. Drake May's only got 2 interceptions on the season, so he's doing his part. 10 touchdowns in 6 games, not great, but I think the two-turnover part is more key. They have an above average passing offensive yards, and their defense is, one of the best rushing defenses in the league. So that's right up Mike Vrabel's wheelhouse. I think this team, having what the last place schedule, so they're going to be able to crank out some wins by the end of the season and probably obviously win this division. It's looking like, and you know, it's making it sound like I shouldn't bet on Tennessee. I'm losing $10.
This is also the Mike Vrabel revenge game. Gets a
Yeah,
chance,
yeah, that's absolutely right. I had that joke written down and I forgot all about it.
but I don't know if he's gonna need that motivation against this Tennessee team. I don't know. This should be an easy one. I don't know about the points, but New England
Yeah,
definitely
that's
should
a
win
lot
this
of
game.
points. I wouldn't take that bet for sure.
All right, New Orleans is at Chicago. Like I said, not a lot of great games, especially in the 1 p.m. window. Chicago is 4.5 point favorite at home. The over under is 47. We just talked about New Orleans and their odds for the Super Bowl. Is that to win the Super Bowl?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay. Um, both of these teams not a great chance to win the Super Bowl, but probably Chicago slightly better. I mean Chicago has turned it around a little bit, but they've gotten a little lucky. So their record, you just said you are what your record says, but sometimes it can be a little deceptive. I wouldn't take 4.5 here, but I think Chicago's a slightly better team, but I think New Orleans can be very sneaky. The only real advantage is to be in Chicago here instead of in the Superdome. But
Yeah, Chicago hasn't won a division game yet. They're 0-2 in the division. That's not a good sign for them for the projecting the season. But Caleb Williams has done pretty good so far. Only 2 interceptions on the season. So just like before, he's not setting the world on fire, but he's not hurting his team at the same time. Kind of middle of the road on offense, so they're not doing great. But New Orleans defense is terrible. 4.5 is a pretty good line, but I think Chicago wins this game probably by a touchdown, gets to 4-2, gets their fans really excited for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And the Saints are going to go to 1-6, and maybe they'll go to 200,000 to one after Sunday.
yeah, hold off on that. Maybe you get better odds. Carolina is at the Jets. I mean, can you believe these games? Carolina is at the Jets. The Jets are home dogs at plus 1.5. The over under is 42.5. Obviously, this Carolina team is showing up, but they're not on my radar for the playoffs or anything like that. And this Jets team still hasn't found a win. My guess is they still don't find a win, even though they're playing Carolina. But I'm not interested in this game. I like to bet the good teams, and there are no good teams so far.
Well, the Jets are, the 100,000 to one as well. Um, they're probably, they have the chance to win this game, but I think Carolina showed a few weeks ago being able to put on 30 is enough offense too much offense for the New York Jets to handle. I don't see the Jets winning this game. I see them being 0-7, and we're going to have to really start looking to see where their first win is coming from. And with that 1 point line, that's a tempting line. But like you said, staying away from the bad teams is usually not bad. But how bad is Carolina?
Yeah, uh, uh, I think it's fair to say they're better than the Jets, but it's so unpredictable who's going to show up each week. So I wouldn't touch that one either. So the I guess best game in the 1 p.m. window is Philly at Minnesota. I don't really like either of these teams, but they are certainly better than the ones we saw earlier in the 1 p.m. window. Minnesota is a home dog. The last I saw was plus 1.5, and the over under was 43.5. Philly doesn't seem to be able to really get it together. No passing game. Uh, Defense is good, but isn't really showing up all the time. They can't run the ball. Even the tush push isn't working that well anymore. But Minnesota, I can't trust Minnesota. Carson Wentz just isn't a guy I would trust in this situation. But I guess it is a Carson Wentz revenge game, if you want to call it that at this point.
The Carson Wentz revenge game. There's something I never thought we'd talk about on this podcast. Um, you know, I that tie that the Packers have right now at 3-1-1 puts them in first place in the division is just that just pisses me off that there's ties now because that's aggravating because Minnesota's one win away from getting to first place in the division. So I'm not counting them out. I think they are a pretty solid football team. I think they're going to have a good chance of making a run and staying relevant through the season. This is going to be a good game to watch and could be a maybe even a playoff decider coming down. A home road get in, get out situation. We'll wait and see, but Philly's probably going to have that division. They may have a competition with Washington, but God forbid being on the seventh seed and losing to a tie or losing out to Philadelphia because you lost in week 7, 10 weeks ago.
Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying. That's definitely there's definitely some playoff implications down the road for these teams in this game. Las Vegas is at Kansas City. Kansas City 12-point favorites at Arrowhead, and the over under is 45.5. This is silly. 12 points is ridiculous, but I'm certainly not going to bet on the Raiders, so I'm not touching this game. But you know what? The Chiefs, are they back? They back to themselves now that they've gotten some receivers healthy. Rasheed Rice should be back soon, if not this week. I forget which week he's coming back. So they're going to win at home, but 12 points is crazy.
Now, did you say that's a 4 o'clock game? Because I've got it as a 1 o'clock game.
No, I had it as the last 1 p.m. window game.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's not a. This isn't going to be a great game to watch either. We don't know if the Chiefs are back or not yet, but what I do know is they have scored the most points in the division, but they're far from being the football team they used to be. Uh, I probably like their chances against Las Vegas at home, but other than that, I don't know if they have a good outlook this season. We'll see. But getting to 10-7 or even 9-8 will probably get them in the playoffs, and they're only a couple wins away and a couple non-penalty calls away. That there seemed to be a few in that game last week that just were a little interesting. But Chiefs win this one. I don't know who would take the Chiefs and give up 12 points. I don't know who would give 12 points in the Raiders. You might be able to find some sucker down at your local watering hole. Not that you know anything about that. But, I wouldn't bet the Hard Rock, that's for sure.
Yeah. Um, I mean, there's probably 50,000 KC fans that would take the minus 12. So, the betting sites are still making money off this game. All right, the 4 p.m. window. We got some good games here. Indianapolis is at the Chargers. The Chargers are favored by 2 at home. It's 48.5 is the over under. I like the Indy side of this game. Spoiler alert. Um, Indianapolis getting 2 points and also healthier. They had some weird injuries right before the game last week, and I think they're going to win this game.
Spoiler alert, huh? I talked a few weeks ago about how I'm always picking the Chargers, and I don't know why they have suckered me in on everything. Spoiler alert: I'm not picking the Chargers this week on any bets and or anything that would relate betting. The Chargers' offense has been much better than Indianapolis's offense. They've, in their last five, they've scored 20 points, 29 points, 23 points. So they're not setting the world on fire, but they're getting a lot of yards. That seems typical for the Chargers. And their defense has not been bad. I think they are going to win this game, being sort of at home in Los Angeles. I don't think there's going to be too many Indianapolis fans cheering from those stands, not like in Arizona or San Francisco or Las Vegas. So I think the crowd won't be a factor, but I think Jim Harbaugh is going to be able to coach and scheme his way to a victory.
This is kind of a like a fork in the road for both of these teams. I feel like they're both doing pretty well, but this kind of game can turn a season from going in the right direction to some bad momentum. So I definitely want to watch as much of this game as I can. The Giants are at the Broncos. Broncos favored by 7 at home. The over under is 40 points. Not a lot of offense from either of these teams. Pretty good defenses. Uh, Points is a lot.
Yeah, Russell Wilson, he was in for two plays before Jackson Dart jumped in, and then there were some kind of shenanigans that maybe happened with that Thursday night game. The Giants have had 10 days off. Um, they're Scadaboo's in and out of concussion protocol after every run. He's going to have to change his
Yeah.
style. Denver's defense is probably legitimate. But I think the Giants are going to be able to do just enough. I think they're hot. I think they're ready. I think they're fired up, and they're going to be able to ride these rookies' coattails for a couple more games before they really get some game film on them. It's going to be a close one. Going to be a boring game. I would imagine 10-7 could be a final score. Take the under.
Yeah, that's a low number, but it's probably still about right. Washington at Dallas. Dallas a home dog, 1.5 points. They're getting and in Dallas, and 54.5 is the over under. Washington coming off of a bad loss. They should have won against Chicago, honestly, but they did not. And I guess this is supposed to be the game with the most fireworks this week, 54.5 points. And that's because both of these defenses aren't great and the offenses are pretty good. That's my sharp analysis. Um, I kind of like Dallas in this one. I think Dallas. It's just that I think they've got a little more offense than Washington, but we'll see. What do you think about this game?
I'm a big believer in the Cowboys aren't a great football team this year. They've only won two football games, so I think they represent a team that still coach trying to find his way. Defense is absolutely terrible. They've given up 184 points on defense so far this season, and they've only scored 178. So that's why they have three losses and a tie. They can't seem to get out of their own way. Uh, I expect Washington to win this game, and I expect them to go into Dallas and pretty much end the chances of the Cowboys having any chance of winning this season.
Yeah, I can see that too. I think Washington's a better team, but for some reason I have a feeling this is going to be Dallas's game. Anyway, Green Bay is at Arizona. Arizona getting 8.5 at home, a home dog again. 44.5 is the over under. This is a game I don't want to touch. The Cardinals could show up in any way possible in the fourth quarter. You just don't know what they're going to look like. They're going to lose, but which way they're going to lose? Are they going to lose by 4, by a missed extra point, by fumbling out of the back of the end zone? Who knows? But they'll figure something out, and Green Bay will win. But I'm certainly not touching 8.5.
Yeah, Green Bay's eighth in the league in scoring, so they're going to put some points up. Ninth on offense, so that their team is gonna come to play and ready. Again, that tie is just absolutely fascinating. They weren't able to get the job done in Dallas or playing Dallas, but the Arizona is not great. Kyler Murray is probably playing Call of Duty right now instead of preparing for the Packers. He took last week off. He probably a new game release and getting ready. Green Bay is going to win. Green Bay is going to win big, and they're going to put on a show for them Packer fans, whoever may be out in the desert.
Yeah, I, I mean, how could anybody take Arizona at this point? As you mentioned earlier, the Sunday night football game is Atlanta at San Francisco. San Francisco giving 2 points at home. The over/under is 47. Atlanta coming off a impressive win against the Bills. San Francisco falling short against the Bucks. But Vegas likes the San Francisco 49ers in this one. What do you think about this game?
I think Brock Purdy's finally back in this game. I've heard Mac Jones struggled. The Buccaneers defense is better than the Falcons defense, I feel. Um, the 49ers losing Fred Warner is a very unfortunate thing for their defense. He was a pretty big significant part of that defense. Even if you watch, he's in on every single play no matter what. And of course, being in the Tampa Bay area, there's a lot of Buccaneer fans, and I was discussing it. And I said that Baker would never popped off that 35-yard run that basically won the game for the Bucks had Fred Warner been on the field, because he would have been at the initial contact, he would have been at the line of scrimmage, and then he would have been all the way down to the first down marker. That's the way football goes. They're going to have to adjust and figure out the win without him. He is out for the season, I'm sure. I don't know the official word. I haven't really looked. Been in a state of working for the past 5 days, so I haven't been able to consume a lot of football, anything. Uh, of course, I'm going to pick the home team in this one. Glad I get to take it all in and enjoy Monday off, so I'm going to hopefully enjoy Victory Monday.
Yeah, Atlanta is very worrying. If you want to bet either for them or against them, and San Francisco losing another defensive player, especially as important as Fred Warner, is a
Yeah, right now the public
dangerous thing
money
as
is
well. So,
75% on the over, or I'm sorry, 75% with Atlanta in the 1.5, and 60% on San Francisco money line. So pretty definitive that a lot of people think that game's going to be close. And a lot of people are even picking the under on this one, so they don't think it's going to be very high scoring.
yeah, I mean, I could see that the way that Atlanta got after Josh Allen. I think maybe San Francisco is in a little trouble there, but I don't know. We'll see. Monday Night Football. Two games this week. We have the Tampa Bay at Detroit, and Detroit is favored by 5.5, is what I saw. The over under is 52.5. And I think everybody's now like, don't bet against Baker, who keeps winning games no matter what. Somehow he's pulling out every game. So as tempting as Detroit is here, Detroit at home, I don't want to touch this. Do you have any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, it's hard to say who's going to win this game, but this is a definite playoff indicating football game. It's weird that the games are separated by times. I'm really confused on why some are and some aren't. I don't really know what the NFL is doing anymore. But all I know is I'm going to watch football if it's on and I'm not working. They've got me there, whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock at night. And off on a little side tangent, I was going. Think about that. Think about that London game. You got to get up at 6:30 in the morning to watch football if you're in California. But like people in London, if they want to watch like Monday Night Football, it's on what in the they're 6 hours ahead of us, so they're watching Monday Night Football at 3 o'clock in the morning. I
Yeah.
don't want to
Yep.
say that I would become a night owl if I somehow found myself in Europe, but I know I'd still consume the NFL, and I would probably have to rearrange my sleep schedule.
Yeah, and that poses a challenge for the international games. They're just trying to grow the game and maybe hopefully add a couple of teams or move a couple of teams, but that's going to be a challenge, I think, because, like you said, the time difference is going to factor in at some point. Over there, trying to watch games over here is a mess. And then we have the Houston at Seattle game, which I was about to get into, which is starting at 10 Eastern. So yeah, that one is 4 in the morning is when it starts over there in England. So anyway, Houston is at Seattle. Seattle is 3 point home favorite. The over under is 41. This is a Houston team I don't know what to make of. I kind of wrote them off, but I guess there are signs of life there in Houston. Seattle, honestly, looking pretty good, and the division shape that they're in, it looks better every single week. So let's see what happens. But do you have thoughts on Houston at Seattle?
Houston at Seattle, yeah, 10 o'clock at night. I wonder. As you were talking, I was trying to research it very quickly and could not find my answer soon enough. I wonder if this late game has something to do with people in the far west, Australia slash Asia, where it's the middle of the afternoon on, where they're able to consume football, on a Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon, or if it's really truly just trying to cater to those, the people out in the Pacific Northwest, Pacific West, being able to watch Monday Night Football on Monday night.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. What it is for people in California is they get the taste of what we all have to deal with every Sunday night football and Monday night football. I would imagine they're used to it starting at like 5:30, and when it starts at 8:30, they're like, "Oh my God, how late am I gonna be up?" Especially people whose job it is to cover the NFL. That's a doozy right there. What do you think about Seattle and Houston though?
Uh, I think Seattle's going to win the game. Monday night at home, that crowd is going to become a factor. And usually, when that crowd gets that loud, disruptions happen. And Houston isn't setting the world on fire right now by any means. Their defense is doing great, but their offense is still struggling to kind of find their way. 22nd in points in the league, so they're only averaging 21.6 points a game. They're going to need more than that if they want to win against Seattle. Seattle is going to be able to put some points up. Sam Darnold, only 3 interceptions on the season, so Houston's going to have their work cut out for them, and they're probably not winning this game.
Yeah, I think the Seattle team is for real. So I don't know what their odds are to win the Super Bowl. I guessing you don't care and don't want to even
Their
think
odds
about it.
are
But
nil of winning the Super Bowl.
all right, we're gonna get into croutons real quick. So last week I had two picks and missed on both of them. I had Indy -6. They did win the game, but they did not cover the six. And oh, I'm sorry, I did not miss on both of them. I went 1-1. So Indy -6 failed, but the Rams at Baltimore um, for 50 points. I had that one stay under. So I was 1-1. There was no movement for me. And I don't know if you want to talk about your croutons or just move
I
on.
don't really want to talk about mine. I picked three teams that could have, should have, would have won, and the football pool we're in, and my croutons took a big hit.
Yeah. The things changed quick in all those games last week. It was tough. We both saw ourselves at the top of the pool at some point, and then went south. All right. So this week I have two. What are your what is your
I
crouton
do
slate
have
look like?
two as well. I need to scale back a little bit. Like every good gambler, they would double down and try to go big. I'm not going to do that here. I'm going to try to microdose my way back to even, and then go for the gusto. When I feel like my stride is at the best.
All right. Well, I'll start then. I got the Rams -3 in that London game. I think they're a better team than Jacksonville, and um, Puka Nakua could be injured for the rest of his life at any point. He's another one like Scadaboo who's like got to protect his body a little bit more, but um, I just like the Rams a lot more.
Yeah, I think Nakua is going to be out this game. And then the Rams are going into a bye week after that, so they're probably looking to preserve, their stud wide receiver. But I think the Rams are going to win without Nakua anyways. So I'm with you on that bet. I'm going to break your golden rule this week. I'm taking Carolina -1 at the Jets. I think Carolina is going to go into town and win. The Jets aren't going to win, and I'm just taking the chance that it's by more than 1 point. Carolina, to shut out Atlanta 30-0. So I would expect a probably a 4 to 7 point victory coming from Carolina.
Now, Jets fans are used to this losing thing. They've got this losing thing down, and but the enthusiasm at the stadium has to wane at some point. Are there Jets fans that are going nuts still when the Carolina Panthers show
Yeah,
up?
I think so. Fireman Ed seems to get the job done for them Jets fans. And people from New York, they're crazy. All of them. They can't drive. They're loud. They're obnoxious. They've got lots of money, so for them, it's a great afternoon. They've been drinking since 6 a.m. in the parking lot in New Jersey. They're miserable because they have to drive to New Jersey, but they're going to go back to their penthouses in New York City. The hell with the Jets. They're going to lose.
All right. I didn't know we were going to get a rant about New Yorkers, but we did. Um, all right. My second pick, I'm taking Indianapolis. I spoiled this earlier, but Indianapolis getting 2 points against a good Chargers team, but I think Indianapolis might be slightly better. I guess we're going to find out who's for real in this game. But I got Indy +2 for 50
See,
croutons.
I almost wanted to start fighting you when you said Indy was going to beat the Chargers, and somehow the Chargers are in my brain that they're a great football team. They're good, but they've got me by like the hook and claw where I always end up wanting to pick them. I'm staying away from that this week. I'm not doing it. Good luck to you on that bet, but I always seem to pick wrong when I pick the Chargers for them or against them. My second bet, I'm going to pick Washington. They're going to go into Dallas and prove they're a better team than Dallas. Dallas has only won 2 games. Washington's going to add to their win total and try to stay within 1 game win, 1 game against Philly. Dallas is going to give up 40 points and score 39 or something like that. So I'm going to take Washington +1.
All right. I mean, I think Washington is actually the better team. I told you earlier, I have a feeling about this game, but that doesn't really mean anything. Before we get to sink or swim, is there upset alert in any of these games this
I
week?
couldn't even tell you at this point.
I mean, the obvious one would be to say the Raiders go into Kansas City and somehow
That's
take
not
that game,
happening.
but uh, that's probably not happening. All right, let's go to sink or swim. My pick did not come through this week. I picked Pittsburgh week 1, Arizona week 2, Atlanta week 3, which did not work out. Week 4, Chicago. Week 5, Dallas, and then last week I picked Washington. Again, they should have won, but that's not how it works. So this week I've got Kansas City.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I do like that. I missed a few weeks ago when I picked Indy. Last week I picked Denver. I was pretty good on them with that defense. This week it seems pretty simple for me. The Mike Vrabel revenge game. New England is going to win this one by a lot, and I'm going to add to my total and my lead that I have on you right now in sink or swim. You are leading croutons. I'm leading that one. And yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if I can catch up. But I decided this week and last week I'd probably start throwing in playoff teams, because you've gone with the good teams, that strategy, and so I've got playoff potential teams sitting around, and I'm going to start using them. So we'll see how it goes from here. Scratch and sniff, I didn't have anything. I know we've talked about this every week about how to improve this game, but I'm not scratching anybody off this week. I don't know if you're doing anything with this either.
Yeah, I've already scratched 14 teams this season. Fortunately for me, all 14 of those teams have won a combined total of like 16 games. So I think I'm all right for now. Everybody else I would even possibly consider scratching is only a one win away from leading their division. So I've probably gotten a little too aggressive with who I scratched. I was trying my best to get ahead of you in this game, but like I said, it's a wonky game at this point. We don't really know what we're doing. I guess we'll see, wait and see, just like our sifters.
Yeah, I like the idea though. Last week, I think you said one AFC and one NFC team, just either two teams, one team, or zero teams every week. That would probably make it more competitive and interesting. Um, that's all I have on my sheet. What do you got going on
Let's
over there?
see. I thought I had one more joke here written down. Like maybe not. No, I've got nothing else. I think we can sail this one for the day and meet again next week.
All right, yeah. For the mayor and myself, thank you for listening, and we will talk to you when these games are over and when week 8 is getting ready to start.